there's a movie on Netflix called White Noise, which I didn't watch and it wasn't on my list. And here's the plot: 2022 Netflix film White Noise. A train carrying toxic chemicals in Ohio gets into an accident and is derailed, unleashing fumes that create an airborne toxic event. This chemical spill requires everyone nearby to evacuate the area and seek shelter far from the crash. This is an actual film that was on Netflix, came out in 2022. It was filmed in East Palestine, Ohio. Matter of fact, one of the extras in the film, his name was Ben Ratner, was an extra in White Noise, which follows the train that derails and spills toxic chemicals. He said he could not have known that less than 2 years later, he would be actually living out the movie. He lives in East Palestine and is one of the many residents seeking answers after this literally happened February 4th. The Ohio train derailment that spilled dangerous chemicals into their town, now into the Ohio River, into their water. He said, talk about art imitating life. Is it though? He said, this is a scary situation and you can just about drive yourself crazy thinking about how uncanny the similarities are between what's happening now and in that movie. Is it uncanny, Dr. Daniel Black? Is this uncanny?
I don't know if it's uncanny, but it's certainly ironic, seemingly. Right? The reason I say seemingly is because the way I walk in the world, Karen, now, is when something seems so absolutely ironic, so incredibly uncanny. Really, what it generally signifies to me is that there are pieces of the puzzle, there are parts of it that none of us know. Right? That's usually what it signifies. And sometimes what seems uncanny to us, sometimes what seems like, oh my God, like how in the world could that be? Like that just seems completely and absolutely unplanned. Usually there is an invisible hand somewhere, right? That's just very often the invisible hands, that we don't know about.
Yeah. The unseen. I feel like Hollywood, from Minority Report on to Terminator, already told us how this thing's going to end. We just got to pay attention. Now, did they write it and speak it into creation? Or is there, because time to, this is going to be a little off, not off, but just sit with me. Time is not what we think it is. It is happening in time at the same time. So past, present, and future is all going on. Did somebody, peek through the veil of the thing that's happening right now to come back and either warn us? And then is Hollywood just a peek into the future, whether we're talking about the time machine movies or...
I don't know. That, my real answer to that is that I just don't know. My fear though, is that if we're not careful, we'll turn over moments like this to just absolute irony without doing any real inspection to see, let's see, was there possibly any invisible hand somewhere going on that we might not have known about. But I do think there are ways to find out. I think there are absolutely ways to find out.
In the case of Ohio, what happened in East Palestine, there was a little tiny hand named Trump that took away all of the regulations that the previous president, Obama, put into place so these kind of derailments wouldn't happen. He erased them. The way Reagan came in and got rid of all of the earth-saving practices that the Carter administration, we're going to talk about Carter later on as well, that Jimmy Carter's administration put in with the EPA to clean the air, to keep the air clean. Jimmy Carter even put solar panels on the White House. He was so ahead of his time in the 1970s. Right. And then Reagan came in and took them all off. Yeah. And stopped the EPA. Jimmy Carter earmarked a budget to clean the air. He put, and Reagan came in and erased all of that. So the tiny hand, or the invisible hand, is usually the tiny hand of a power-hungry entity that understands that people need to be at the mercy. That's right. That people cannot have clean air and clean water, because people with clean air and clean water can also have freedom. That's right. And as long as they're dependent on me for the clean air and the clean water, I can control every single movement.